Hey, welcome everybody. It's time to begin. Hi, I'm Joshua Jones. Look, oh, other side says it right there because our friends made a nice virtual background for me. And look, here they come already. A little bit earlier than I thought, but come on. Here's some of our team. We've got, I'll go from my order. I see Adrian up in the corner. Adrian is a project coordinator from our team. Ryan Green is our CXO, Chief Experience Officer, and one of our amazing producers. We all wear lots of hats over here. And Shirley Benson, our COO and expert producer as well. So we're here to talk to you today about fundraising. Last month, at the end of the month, we'll bring up a slide here. We'll just recap what we talked about with Sari McConnell. It was a really great conversation, and I encourage you to hop over to our YouTube channel, and we'll share that link to you, and you can take a look at that conversation and hear a lot of the great things that we talked about covered there in wonderful detail. But as a quick recap, we talked about kind of the changing environments, what happened in the last year and a half or 2 years, depending on when you start counting, to change the world of fundraising for nonprofits and organizations like yours. So today, we want to get into a little bit more of the technology stuff. We will talk about technology needs that you may have as you're looking forward into your virtual programs. When to hire a professional, we'd say early and often, future trends and virtual fundraising, and we'll have lots of tips and tricks throughout, making you stand out from all those other folks that are working to do the same thing. So one of the really great things that I love, and we've mentioned before about virtual events, is it really helps to level the playing field. So, now all of a sudden that smaller nonprofit is really using the same channels and avenues that are accessible to those really large organizations as well. So every organization out there that's looking to do some fundraising can benefit from today's session. So with that, I'm going to kind of take more of an MC role today, and I'll turn it over to the team to get us started on some of these key topics that we've lined up for you.
All right, thanks, Josh. Just to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the virtual events. I know it's right here on the screen as well, but like you said, virtual events are here to stay. Even as people are going back into in-person, there's still that need and that additional accessibility that's offered in a way that hasn't been offered before. So as was pointed out many times in our last show, to do an event in 2020 was the goal, just to get it done. People gave you a lot of leeway just to get there, get it done. We all were dealing with a lot. That's not true anymore. Now people have Zoom fatigue. Now there's other things. People are just expecting more because there's more out there. So we can go through different tips and tricks and different ways that we can see a nonprofit really develop and enhance the experience for the clients, for the customers, for the donors, all the stewardship as well. So one of the things that Josh actually talks about a lot is choosing the right platform. So these are some of the questions that we'd ask. Can it handle the volume you need? How's their customer support? How do you handle those registrations and data? Also, what's your budget? What are you working with? And when we talk budget, it's not just the money there, but it's also the hours that's needed, the staff that you have, people who are tech savvy. How many people are we really going to need for the event you want to put on?
Yeah, and any chance I get to say human capital, don't underestimate it for your virtual events. You're going to need some people there, just like you would in person, to help you out, staff out the event. Maybe they're, watching the chat or keeping an eye on a certain feature. And maybe it doesn't seem like a lot, but you're going to love that they're there to help out on the day of, for sure.
And then we're going to move on to incorporating your brand. I'll go ahead and stop the share. You might be wondering why we have the backgrounds that we do, but we tried to do something a little different to show how you can really make your mark on these virtual events. Who wants to talk about them?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. So using virtual backgrounds, if you're using Zoom as your platform, and some of the other technology also offers virtual background options, you can really pack a lot into your background to get some messaging out, to incorporate your brand. So here are a few different ways that you could do this. Josh, he has a business card style of a virtual background. So you can see it has his name, his title, his logo of these make-believe nonprofits we created for today's demonstration. I have
They're
one.
not real, everybody. Don't go Googling.
These, yeah, don't try to give money.
They're
to
convincing
these
though. I would give to any one of them.
My approach for mine for the Global Hands World Conference is more of branding for a specific conference. And then you can see there's a text to give. So if I was using text to give, you could just have it on the screen at all times. Logo, of course, is there. Shirsi, hers is for, it has the thought behind it is like there's an image of some of the work that this program does. So you could have everyone that's on your panel list have a different image. If it was disaster relief, or if it was some sort of, this is like a Habitat for Humanity type of company that I was imagining. So everyone could have a different image. And then what you can see is a QR code. There's lots of free tools for making QR codes. And what those do, it's a barcode, and a person can take their phone and open up the camera app, just hold it up to that barcode, the QR code, and it takes them to whatever website you want them to go to. So ours really work, even this fake one, but it's going to take you to our calendar link so you can book a time to talk to us. But you could use this, send people to your donation site, send them to your website, to a contact page,
or a story about where this picture came from.
That's a great idea.
Bring them closer to what the work that you're doing. Yeah, it's great stuff.
And then Adrian, he has another business card style, but his, he's using with the images in the background. So maybe this is, the office that everyone works in when we're all remote. It's kind of, it adds, I've seen a lot of people do this, and it's kind of nice to see like where you work, even though you're not actually there during the day. So these are just some of the styles. There's also, I'll show you one other one. You could do quotes that you've had, if there was, here's one for a ballet company where you could have, again, images from some of the productions and the, artists in your nonprofit. If there was like inspirational quotes that you wanted to use, there's lots of ways that you can incorporate virtual backgrounds into your, into your branding and event branding.
Yeah, and not only does this give everybody maybe a uniform and maybe an uplift on the quality, we're not seeing we've been there and we've dealt with it and we've appreciated it, but we don't need to see people's kitchens and hallways, doorways behind them all the time. The virtual background works on more and more systems now, but there are still that can't quite do it without a green screen. But not only does it kind of give everybody the same look and feel and give that lift to the professionalism, it really expresses your culture more. If you've got a background that is nice to share, well, that's great. And if that brings people closer to you and it's clean and it's intentional, wonderful, use it. But most of us don't really have a space like that out here. We're doing what we can. So the virtual background helps a ton. And bringing people closer to the culture, I'll get up on my soapbox just a little bit because it's like my favorite topic now. Bringing people closer to your brand and your culture, it just really is going to become more and more crucial. As was stated a little bit earlier, we want to move away from getting by with our virtual events and being presentable to being really expert with it is the goal, right? So we want to wow people. We want to impress them, especially if it's their first time through the door, your first impression virtual event. let's make it really clean. Let's let them know that you took the time and set the intention for this. I was listening to, I'll drop it because it was a really good presentation, but I forget the name of the person that he was interviewing, but a recent Ezra Klein interview for his podcast. They were talking about the way people work. And when Ryan was talking about maybe having your office behind you, those things that maybe you aren't there now, but you can remind people of it. It's part of their mission. It's part of the service that they're doing or the work that they're doing. That's where a lot of it happens. It's you want to share that with people, and so using the virtual background, great option for doing so. Okay, that's my soapbox, tucking it away.
Well, and actually that's a perfect segue, because in addition to these other ways of involving people, we can go ahead and do that creative program format. And this is one of our favorites because we have been pushing the boundaries of technology this entire time. So it's a lot of fun. We love doing it, and we have a couple examples here for you. So some of our favorite ones that we've done are virtual music breaks, DJ sets. This involves a lot of audio, I'll just say it. So make sure there's a lot of practicing and a lot of setup beforehand. Also, the surprise guests are a lot of fun. Interactive games and comedy sets. There's also just creating unexpected moments. Can anyone talk about that?
Yeah, a quick note on the comedy sets. We've worked with a number of comedians over the last couple of years, and it's interesting, always different. They always have a slightly different approach, but a lot of them want the audience unmuted. So heads up, they want to hear your laughter. They don't want to make jokes and hear crickets. So, that's more of a meeting environment. Interactive games, yeah, more of a meeting environment. Surprise guests, incorporate them wherever you can, really. If people, get that element of surprise, that fear of missing out, that I think we talked about that last month with Sari, really inspiring that sense that, here's what they're doing. Maybe it's an update or something, but they always bring along something special. So I want to go check out what they've got to say today. You want to inspire those moments. And then, yes, absolutely. If you're going into music, if you're going into DJ, or even just playing back a video, you want to make sure that you go through and adjust settings as appropriate within the Zoom platform, maybe on your computer or applications and tools you're using. But we do have a couple blogs that you can go and reference. I should say, and we have a couple blogs that you can go and reference as well. And we'll be happy to share those with you.
Yeah, we'll have those in the program notes of the recording later, and we'll send it to everyone that registered as well.
So then the next part of all of this is the meaningful calls to action. Normally when nonprofits do events, it's for something. You need people, you need money, you need involvement, you need to disseminate information. There's a lot of different ways of doing that. So we're all very familiar with different calls to action that are available. Now, of course, the fundraising ones we know very well. That's the make a donation, give to our cause, help XYZ in need today. We'd like to have those sprinkled throughout the program, but you always
Recruit a
want
friend. Don't forget that one.
Yes. Yeah, the fundraising, that's actually fundraising and involvement, trying to spread the word, people out there. Informing is, of course, letting people know about the different programs. Like Ryan mentioned earlier, that can be done through QR codes more subtly out the program. There's also the text to give options out there, various tools like OBS or parameters we're going to talk a little bit more about in a little bit, but you want to make sure people know what they're doing, they're there for a cause, and they're feeling good about being part of this environment, this family, this connection that you're making with everyone. So there's 3 different types of calls to action mainly, and you can sprinkle them throughout, but you really want to drive home the message towards the end of any event so that when people are inspired, they have something to do with all this energy, whether it's, to sign up for the blog or the newsletter or volunteer with you or donate XYZ. So
Yeah.
we love
And
those.
these can be used in combination with one another, but they also totally can stand alone. You've got a fundraising dedicated event, or, this is an update on such and such mission that's more informing. We'll put the QR code so everybody remembers they can just go to give, but, we're not going to talk about fundraising in that informative update. But again, you can use them in a mix and match sort of approach, and we've seen all sorts of combinations used successfully. Oh, good timing. Hey, I just got to work with this wonderful group, the National Association of Black Girls. I just got to work with them just this week, and really inspiring event, very powerful. And they gave us permission to use their QR code. So if you want to see an example of how this works in the wild, you can just hold your phone up, get your camera over that, position it. We'll leave it there for a few more seconds for you. And that will take you over to their donate page. So they just put a URL behind this QR code. It's as simple as that. And as Ryan said, there's a lot of free tools out there. They've got the simple classic QR code going. You might have seen ours early. I think it looks really fancy, and it even has our logo right in the middle. So you can do more with them now, and QR codes have had a resurgence. Ryan, from the marketing side, you look at that a little bit more. Details QR code. What do
I've
you think?
seen it happening a lot more.
A lot
And
more.
a few years ago, I mean, what, 10 years ago, maybe, when it first came out, it was kind of like,
It
what are
just
you
didn't
going
catch
to
on.
use this for?
Yeah.
It's like, what? And now I think with
I think it was the
use-
menus during the
yeah,
pandemic.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Restaurant
Restaurant
menus.
menus. But yeah, they're back in a major way. But sorry to cut in there. I just felt
No,
like that was it.
that I think that the menus definitely helped QR codes, and I think just social media being like the number one place people are spending their time on the internet. And QR codes are great for driving people to an Instagram account, to a specific photo on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, wherever you want. It's good for snippets of where you want to. You don't want to send people to your main web page. You want to direct them to a very specific location. And I've seen it's being used a lot more in
Right.
events in this format.
I can see it. You put it on your registration page, find out more information. All these years I've been doing this, people have asked, how can I put more information there more cleanly without a wall of text on the registration page? QR codes seem like a good solution that people are pretty familiar with using. And, the people that are going to take the effort to click through and find out what's going on with your QR code, I feel like that kind of like warms that lead, if you will, a little bit. Those are more maybe technologically savvy and maybe a little bit more interested. So maybe we'll learn something new about donors that interact through QR codes. Who knows? But this was a great group. If you get a chance, check them out.
And that brings us to OBS. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share now because I think we have a couple fun little examples to bring up. I mentioned earlier there's the text to give. That was one of the most effective fundraising campaigns I think we've experienced. It really brought people in at the moment, and you could see live exactly where your money was going and who was giving it. It really brought in the feel of those live galas that people were used to and missed so much during the pandemic. So it was really great to have something like this.
Yeah, and we're using the gallery view right now in Zoom. So for those participating, those watching, there we go. So Ryan's just brought it up an example using a webcam feed using OBS. Now it's on Spotlight, so it's the big one. This is just a mock-up of what you could utilize. Put in those instructions. I think the big thing to remember with text to give is over communicate the instructions. Keep it brief, just a quick statement. Hey, dial this number into your text message, text this, type this code into the content. I'll practice my script on it for next time, but you get the idea. Give the clear instructions so that people you don't want them getting confused during the give process at all.
And then Josh, you worked with a company that used a countdown timer for, or you had an example for when
Mhm.
a countdown timer is being used. Like there's a certain period of time where a
Right.
sponsor is going to match
Matching
donations.
minutes, or
Yeah.
I listen to a little NPR, I admit it, here and there. In the car, and when they do their drives, they always have an organization or two that's going to sponsor. During this period of time, they're going to match the donations that we receive. So you put that clock up and you keep it running, and maybe just get a little more urgency. Now, if we want to be real fancy, we bring in the clock and the thermometer and we put them right by one another, side by side, and we'll go back to gallery view now. Um, and that way people can really kind of get that excitement. I mean, there's ways that we can put it all on one screen as well with some simple video switching. OBS makes that possible. You can get fancier if you'd like, to really put some shine on it. But keep in mind, we are using Zoom, and Zoom is going to, you know, squash that image down and send it out as fast as it can. So really dense text on slides doesn't really come through when we put it through that video feed, as if it were a webcam so much.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring out. Anything in Zoom can't really be HD, right? It can only be 720 tops.
Screen
now.
sharing, we can get to 1080 if you do it through screen sharing. So if you need something to come through crystal clear, real clear image, crisp text, disclaimer that people need to read, go ahead and do that through screen sharing.
That's a great point. Moving on, I know there was one other thing we love to talk about, and it's the interactive and immersive engagement. We have a lot of great examples of that. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about it, but the VIP and breakout rooms were amazing. Photo booths can actually be done over Zoom. It worked, it was pretty effective. We also have gift box delivery ideas, celebrity fantasy football drafts, and tastings and experiences. So, who wants to start with the VIP meet and greet?
Well,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Ryan. Yeah, thanks.
we
We've
worked
all
with
had
the
experience
We
with
both
it,
clicked
but
at the same time. I heard both of our tongues go.
I was trying to make eye contact with you, but it's kind of hard to
It's
do
hard.
here.
I'm staring at my camera. Sorry, I'm doing my best right here.
Yeah, we worked with a few nonprofits that did some version of this, but there was one, it was, normally they would have a big in-person gala. It had to be virtual last year, and they still wanted to have that arrangement where, normally you would buy a table and there would be maybe a big donor who would buy a table for $10,000, and you would sit at the table and have dinner while the gala is happening. Obviously, dinner couldn't be happening last year, so they brought it virtual and used the breakout rooms as virtual dinner tables. And so they would purchase a breakout room. They could invite, 10 people, say, to that room as their guests to the gala. And then they had something special happening in each of the breakout rooms. In one case, it was, the nonprofit, it was, they had artists from that organization were meeting one-on-one in the breakout room, and they got to spend a certain amount of time with these, special artists.
Yeah, and one really important thing to call out with that is you want to have a host in there. So somebody from your organization that's there with that VIP or celeb that might be in that group. While we're talking about celebs, the photo booth that goes along with it. So using the spotlight tool in Zoom to get a couple or a few people up there at the same time, take that screenshot, send it over to them with that thank you card. Here's your picture with so-and-so. It's a great conversation. It's a nice touch, being able to provide that to them, and they were in the comfort of their own home. And then the other add-on to the VIP meet and greet that I'd share is encouraging people to put their own table together. Hey, we've got this number of tables available. We'd like you to share this with your friends and family as much as you'd like. You have 10 seats or 5, whatever you want to call it. And thank you so much for your donation. let's get now you're sharing the mission with other people outside of, associated with that donor. So helping to, foster that goodwill, right?
Right. The VIP meet and greet part is really great to do, especially if you can do it at different levels. I know that there was more personal touches, certain,
Mhm,
as with most galas, there's
mhm.
going to be these certain tiers, and you can implement that in a virtual setting. A lot of people believe that you can only do one thing with a meeting, or that it's just faces on a screen, but it can be so much more than that. I remember people were really upset that they weren't going to have their annual gathering at this corporation, and so they did this special thing where these honorees for that year were able to sit down in a private room with the CEO, and then they could have their little snapshots together, and it really helped them acknowledge the work that they had done, and show how important they were to everyone else. So
Yeah,
it's a great way of doing that, and I'm sure it saved them a ton of money if you're thinking about how much it would have
to
cost to
get all
have an
those
actual
people in the
in-person
room.
retreat.
Mhm.
Yeah, in a hotel, all of the catering, yeah, the transport, and there's a ton of costs there, but this also gave them something really sweet too.
Yeah, and not everyone has to be the same size. We worked with groups that maybe did a premiere or update, and then before that, or maybe just after that, they had some meet and greet tables. This one's got 30 people in it, and it's kind of general conversation, a few people talking with them. And, these ones have some extra VIPs, and those are those high donor tables. They're bringing in their friends and family, so forth. So you can mix it up. It doesn't have to be the same. And, breakout rooms within a single meeting, hosting multiple meetings, do this regularly as one-offs for small groups. There's a lot of ways to work this into your programs, and it's ongoing. So not just really a one-off thing. Keep it going, get people used to it. They'll like you for it. Anyway, that's a lot on the VIP meet and greet. But similar with the celebrity fantasy football, this is one that I tossed in there. So while I'm talking, I'll keep going on that one. This was a wonderful use case that a group, we're going to do it this year. It's coming up pretty soon, I think. It's a chance to bring, they use some celebrity NBA players from a team. So some fans purchase seats, they make a donation to have a seat on the league with one of those famous basketball players in this case. And they just went through their fantasy football draft. Same rules as a fantasy football as always. But again, this is a case where you want to have, a facilitator, somebody that's really keeping things in order. And then you've got your celebrity VIP mixing it up with a group of people that have donated graciously to be there. So really cool use case, I think, a lot of fun, little outside of the box. Speaking of box, anybody want to talk to gift boxes or tastings?
Yeah, I can. This kind of ties in together. So, you could send your VIPs, or if they hit a certain sponsor level, send a gift box to their house in time for the event that you're having, maybe with some snacks to have or something that kind of goes along with the theme of your event. But also you could do the VIP rooms with something that you send to the houses. So for smaller groups, I've had some clients who have done wine tastings, cheese tastings, and they are sending out the materials that they need to their house so that they have it in time. And then they open it all together, maybe with some instructions of like, what to do when they get the box. And that's worked out really well. And it's very interactive, really gets people feeling connected. I also had something, an experience tasting type event, which was a cooking event, and using a certain famous cookie made by, sold by scouts of some sort. They did a cooking show inside each of the breakout rooms with a local celebrity. It was a regional event, and the local celebrity did a little cookie cooking show. They made something together in their own homes, but all together. And then while that was going on, they were calling out for text to give donations because there was all this excitement happening with the local celebrities, and they're doing this fun event. And then they were doing text to give in the moment as well. And I think the way they did that one was even ahead of time, some of the sponsors, they purchased which room they wanted to go in. So yeah, there's
providing
lots of
some
fun.
selection is part of that.
Yeah,
And then
that's
of
the level
course,
thing.
the transparency versus the be careful how you manage that. You want to manage those conversations like you always do, but really neat way to again encounter new people as well through that process.
Yeah, and in addition to cookie tastings, I did a cocktail hour, which I thought was
A
also
couple of
great.
those, yeah.
You have to. It depends on the state and the mailing postal restrictions with alcohol, but
Sure.
that was really fun too, to watch people do mixed drinks and then ask for donations afterwards, which seemed to help them a lot
Got them
too.
warmed up.
So
Yeah, exactly. They're
yeah,
feeling good.
it was really great. There's also,
They're-
as we're looking at people going into more hybrid, there's more situations. We had talked about, a dunk tank or something like that, where you could have have that sort of thing live and have it just be more interactive as well, which would be kind
Somebody
of fun.
you can use dice. There's my D&D
Mm.
tidbit. You can roll a dice to see if they hit them in the dunk tank and knock them down virtually.
That's excellent. Text to give a certain amount.
There
That
you go.
would be,
Sure thing. Sure thing.
It would
This
buy
is
a
the next
ball.
Buy a ball.
That maybe
Okay.
that's what you send to their house.
This is getting
you
better
send
and
them
better.
a ball as the
Yeah.
gift box. They purchase how many, throws they want. Yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah, nailed it right here on the fly. Worked it all out for you. I know that the idea came up yesterday, but I didn't know if you had talked about it.
That's the great part about all of this, is that we can customize it and we can do so many different things depending on what each client needs, which is pretty great. We had one client we had talked.
Sorry, Shirley, I just want to point out, Sari also gave us kind of a compliment last month when we met just on that topic, how we are able to, change how we might normally use the tools to suit the client's needs. So it might get us on to when to hire a pro. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Move on here. The biggest one, no matter what you choose, we say it over and over again, you have to test everything. That's what rehearsals are for. That's what planning meetings are for. The tech rehearsals, the run of show, all of that is so that we have a perfect show the day of. You want your event to go off. There are going to be unexpected things here and there that come up, and we can roll with it, but it's always best to have backup plans and everything prepared, rehearsals, everyone to know exactly where they're supposed to go and when, right?
Yeah, and just to pile on there, don't discount the need to take time to prepare people for some of those transitions and so forth. It's not always enough to just, get these folks together and put them in a meeting or a webinar together and present and use the bells and whistles. You want to let, especially those VIPs and so forth you might be bringing on board, give them some guidance. Let them know what they're going to expect so that they feel really comfortable through the process. So do those advanced tests, do those check-ins. Tucking away the soapbox again.
Well, that I think perfectly leads to when things go rang.
Oh man,
Get
what
it?
happened
Get
there?
it?
That's rough.
Oh no, that's my fault.
Well, what do we do?
Close the webinar as soon as possible and just
just pull the plug out of the wall.
What do we do?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that obviously it depends on what's happening. What we most often see happen is there's some sort of technology issue. Maybe someone's loses internet, loses power, drops from the call, it has bad. And
did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, you muted herself.
God, you're so slick.
Yeah.
I was starting to look away. I was like, perfect timing.
And it's nice to, I mean, obviously having a professional behind the scenes, like a producer, someone, that's what we do. We're behind the scenes to kind of handle the issues that come up. And everyone has to keep moving forward, but we can run interference in the meantime. But also having a few things on hand. So having a slide that is, it says like, we're having technical difficulty, please stay tuned, that your producer or someone behind the scenes could throw up while we kind of sort through whatever issue we're having, if like a video is not playing or something. Obviously just make a role for someone that if something does happen, you're going to be the voice that comes on and just lets everyone know everything's fine, we're still here, we're just give us a minute or two and hang on. You could even play some music if you have the wherewithal to throw some music on. But yeah, having a contingency plan and just a few things that are at your fingertips. But I think the easiest one is don't be afraid to let people know that you need a moment. There's just a little issue happening, but we'll be right back.
Yeah, super crucial point there. Especially having somebody prepared to speak up. Probably have a moderator or MC working on the event. Any one of us, I'm sure, would be pretty quick to jump in. So we'd want to designate one person that does that in our case, because we don't want a bunch of people jumping in to say, oh, it all broke. And also just be honest about what happened. I've run into a number of circumstances in the past where people have tried to explain away what was going on inaccurately, or just maybe just covering something up, and it doesn't work out well. So just be honest about what's happening. You don't have to give too much detail. We're having some technical difficulty. We appreciate your patience. We'll be right back with you. Fingers crossed. Say it again in a few seconds if you need to.
And yeah, I mean, you can't prepare for every scenario, but if you are prepared that something could happen and you just know that you have a few tools in your tool belt, I think it calms your nerves when those things, pop up. It becomes less freaky.
Especially considering the fact that in live circumstances, things like that do happen. And so being able to prepare on the fly, having the contingency plans, like they were saying, you really take away some of the stress of like, what if something goes wrong? Because if we were in live and in person and in color, and there's technical difficulties, someone would make an announcement and people would go talk amongst themselves, or, so it really just kind of lends to itself. You're trying to make it feel as real as possible. And sometimes that includes the technical difficulty part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love that point. Thank you, Adrian. The confidence and the comfort, taking that time to prepare that bit just adds to that. Oh, this group knows what they're doing. I feel really comfortable working with them. I'll come do it again. It really counts. So we're getting some questions coming in. Let's start with this one. What kinds of themes are we seeing? Themes that we're hearing of? What kind of themes are people decorating their events? I think we've seen a few do some fun space themes and kind of use the technology, like, oh, we're blasting off into this virtual event, or there's all sorts of fun ways you can use that. Other theme ideas.
Well, I think it's worth a shot to play around in the immersive view that Zoom offers now, because you can do a classroom, a forest, all sorts of fun things where you can see a bunch of people together. So that's kind of fun. Going on with the space theme you were talking about, I think there were some executives of the company that filmed themselves in their own homes or something like
Came
that,
in
and then
dressed up as a space helmet on and everything, ready to go.
And I think their marketing team might have edited it, so they looked like they were on the moon. Or
oh, right, yeah. That was a good one.
doing something fun like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, you could do all sorts of different themes. There's game nights, of course. Dungeons and Dragons is a personal favorite of
You did that
ours.
for me. You did that for me, didn't you?
Yeah, that's been our team building. If
They
you haven't seen
care.
our
They
blog
care.
on that, yeah.
You
We've
got
been
too
doing
big to
that.
play D&D though. Ugh.
Yeah, we did get a lot of people. I mean, that's a good problem to have, honestly. Um, so there's all sorts of different themes. Do you have any other others that you remember that were really fun and cute? I think there was a nice little pampering spa one that I looked at. That was nice, and people received little boxes of, it was like an eye pillow and something else, just so that they could have the same experience, even though they were in different parts of the world.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, the theme tying things together, there are a lot of services out there, if we didn't say so in that section earlier, for those tastings and gift boxes that you can, coordinate what you want to send out. You want people to have a similar experience as much as possible. So something, be careful about smells because, I don't know, allergies, people are different, but there's a lot of things that maybe have like a nice scent, little aromatic, little something or other that everybody can open together. These little things, they're nice touch, and you can fit them into your themes. So what's a good theme for fall 2021? It is 2021 still, right? I think
So
I've
far.
seriously had to think about it honestly right there. So I wanted to ask.
I like the trick or treat, the going back to school. There is an immersive view where there's a
Mhm,
couple different classroom scenes that you can use for back to
mhm.
school night. So you can do that sort of thing. The fall leaves, you can have those as a virtual video background for everyone. There's a lot of different things that we could do.
We've been getting
Um,
seasonal over here with our logos. So we just use different logos for season. Thanks for some inspiration from the team. Thanks to the team for some inspiration on that one. Shout out to Krista. Ryan does a lot of great work on those logos.
yeah, and they're a lot of fun too to switch up.
We're fun.
It is. So I think I'm looking at the time and it looks like that's all we have. We got to start wrapping up here. But with that, I do want to say if you have any other questions, concerns, ideas, feel free to reach out to us in any way you'd like. There is the handy QR code that we have talked about many times. And how adorable is that logo, right? You can put your
It's
own
really
logo
cute.
right in the middle. So adorable. We love it so
But it
much.
does make me want to say I was messing with it. Don't make them too big. Your phones want those QR codes to be pretty small. So don't make it too
Absolutely.
huge on the side.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, everyone. We really enjoyed speaking with you, and we'll be back next month with another fun topic. All right. Thanks
Bye.
again. And until next time, bye.